And a very good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Facebook. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Writer's Corner Live Show. You probably have your favorite type of book, either fiction or nonfiction, but you may like to know a little bit more about the different types of genres that are available. You may either be published or wish to get published, and in that case, this is the show for you. Authors, aspiring authors, and readers who want to know what's available and what's out there. We introduce you to inspiring authors who share their stories and expertise. You, the audience, get to ask our guests questions, and you can get the answers right here on the show live. Or if you're watching this on the replay, welcome. Leave your questions in the comments and we'll get right back to you as well. This broadcast is brought to you and sponsored by BLiveMedia. Today's topic is getting published. Welcome, everyone. I'm now going to invite our guests on the show today. We have got three amazing ladies who are going to be joining us. And I'm going to welcome them all. So our first lady is Mary Jackson. Welcome, Mary Jackson. Mary is an award-winning author of the Poolish's children book series. She's currently working on another book as well as writing a movie screenplay. Mary's also the wife and mother of three inspirations. She's also a special needs and disability advocate as well as a live streamer, and she lives in Nashville in the USA.
Hi.
The other lady, yes, welcome, Mary.
Hi.
And then we have Treva Gordon. Treva is the author of Healing for My Body, I'm a Miracle, in which she documents her journey of fighting for survival after giving birth to her daughter. She says when you have lots of lemons, you make lemonade, and her book is Her Lemonade. She's also a speaker, a business leader, as well as a television and radio show host. Treva is also the founder of Team Purpose, dedicated to prison ministry. She lives in Clarksville, Tennessee in the USA, and has been married for 25 years to the love of her life, Pastor Robert Gordon, and they have three beautiful children. And our third guest for this evening is Teri Polen. Teri loves horror, sci-fi, and fantasy. She's a young adult horror thriller author, and so books like The Walking Dead, Harry Potter, and anything Marvel related is likely to cause fangirl delirium. She's written two books, The Gemini Connection, and her book Sarah became a horror finalist in the 2017 Next Generation Indie Book Awards. Teri lives in Bowling Green, Kentucky in the USA with a husband, sons, and a black cat. Awesome to have you here, ladies. Welcome to the broadcast. So today we're talking about publishing and how to get published. So Mary and Teri, you've gone the traditional route of getting published, and Treva, you've gone the self-publishing route. How has that journey been for you? And was it tell them what it was like doing the first book. Who'd like to start? Mary, what was it like for you?
Okay, sure. And Teri, she did correct me this morning, right? And Teri, do you want to, before we start, do you want to give? So for me, it seems like, the industry is just growing and growing and growing for all of us. And so definitions of things and us being educated seems to be occurring almost daily. So traditionally published means that you are, like Teri said this morning, with an agent and with one of the big five publishers, which is very hard to get into, right? And so Teri and I are with Black Rose Writing out of Texas. We are with the same publisher. But even though we are with a small indie house and Treva is self-published, we're all considered, Teri, what did you say?
we're all considered indie authors.
Indie
Just
author.
right, right. Just you and I, we have a small independent publisher, and then Treva she's gone the self-publishing route.
Yes, so she's her
Absolutely.
She's her own woman.
That's right.
And I've had the pleasure of publishing with a major publishing company distributor. I have 4 books, and so I started out that particular way and published with a nationally known publishing company. And then I decided to go my own route, and it is a lot of work. And what I've been blessed to do is help others publish their books through my company. So it still is a lot of work. You have to be involved, and I'm sure you ladies are greatly involved, and that's what makes the process wonderful. So yes, I consider myself indie publisher as well.
Oh, awesome. Wonderful. Okay, well, I guess I can start. So like I said a few minutes ago, I'm with Black Rose Writing. They're out of Texas. And I have 2 children's books right now that are published with them. I'm working on the 3rd one, waiting on illustrations, which takes a long time. And you're going, because you're so excited, you're ready for them to be finished. But the first one is Perfectly Precious Poolicious. It is on Amazon, Kindle, Barnes & Noble online, let's see, blackrosewriting.com, and anywhere that books are sold online. The book is based off of my child, my late in life son. If anyone is on here with us that has heard my story, he was a surprise at 45. While I was recovering with him, the manuscript for the book came to me, and it just popped out of nowhere. It was really beautiful. I was introduced to Thornton Klein, who wrote the 10 beautiful songs that come with this book. We have written the 2nd book together, and he is also a Black Rose Writing author and a mutual friend of Teri and Treva and mine as well. So I'm going to hold up the book because this is the first one right here. It came out last year in February 2017, and in May it won the Gold Maxi Literary Award for children's books. That's very, very exciting to come out the gate with something like that. This is the 2nd book that was released this past December 2017, Poolicious Look at Me. And it kind of carries on the journey of babyhood. The intent behind the books is love and sweetness and that tenderness that is a part of childhood and growing up and all that beauty that's there. And it's also reading is so important. I am an advocate for literacy and reading and starting children as young as possible. These are great books for first readers, learning how to read, and they can read to their siblings. These are wonderful books for new moms, moms to be, grandparents to have with their children, and for little guys up to the age of about 5. So we are carrying on the tradition in the next Poolicious book, and it's going more into toddlerhood. So we plan to carry it on as far as we can up into childhood and things like that. And we're very excited about it. Thornton and I are continuing to write together. I've got about 6 or 7, 8, about 8 other children's books written, waiting on illustrations. I'm very excited about it. I have a middle grade reader ready to go and working on the screenplay for it, like Bergetti said, as well as some other projects. So writing is a blessing. It is definitely a journey. I think the ladies would agree with me that writing is the easy part of the whole situation. Editing is very hair pulling out, basically, right? And Treva, do anything but edit and anything but searching for a publisher too, because it is very, very trivial. I mean, it's not trivial, excuse me, it's tedious. It's very time consuming. You have to do a lot of research and you have to put that time aside for it. For me, being a really busy mom, and I mean, I am full-time and never clock out. So, and I have a child recovering from surgery this summer. So it's kind of up the game of what goes on in my house. I have to sneak away those times. And if I don't, then it never gets done. And so for friends of mine and people I know, people I don't know who say, I don't have time. And I'm like, yes, you do. Because if I can do it, you can do it. And I know how busy Treva is. She can pump out a book. You know, I know that it's doable for others out there. You can't wait for that perfect corner and that writing space and that tree by the window and the brook flowing. You know, you just can't wait for that. I keep a notebook with me at all times because I never know when inspiration will come. And if I don't write it down, it never comes the same way. So I have to be ready for that. I also use my audio on my phone, and that allows me, if I'm driving down the road and Carson inspires something like he does a lot, because I'm living in a child's world, so I try to write from the viewpoint of a child, then I'm like, oh, I got to get that down because I can't get it back again. I won't remember it the same way because I'm too busy, and you get so, you get going. But it's an interesting journey. It's a very rewarding journey to see your creations come to life, especially when you have illustrations with them and somebody buys into what you're trying to do. It's an absolutely amazing experience. And then added on top with my first book, to have someone write that music that goes with those pictures. And it's so sweet and innocent. And I know all of us write different things here. And what I think is really great is I'm hoping that we can introduce other watchers to different books that you might not have known about and might be interested in reading. And I think it's great for us to be able to support each other. But knowing that we're all putting different things in the world, there's just so many different appetites out there for different kinds of books, and hoping that we can meet those needs. I know I'm excited to read Treva's book. I haven't read it yet, but I'm going to. And I love Teri's. I read most of Teri's first book. I want to get her second book. For me, I have books that I want to read, and they have little dog ears in them because I have 5 minutes here and 5 minutes there. I never get to sit down and finish an entire book all in one sitting. Like one day I'll be able to, but not right now. I'm too busy for that. So I will write, working on a couple of novels, but those take time. And when the right time is, it will happen. So, anybody who has any questions, please ask us, because all of our journeys are different. Even though we're doing sort of the same thing, we're all writing. It's just a different journey for each of us, but it is a journey, right?
I think that was a great point that you mentioned, for the busy moms out there who want to write. Your tip about having your notebook with you at all times.
Yeah.
So that if you have that moment, you don't let that thought pass you by, because you can actually pen it down. Teri, how's your journey been?
Well, mine was a little different. I had written Sarah. This is my first book, and I had submitted it to a small publisher, and they requested that I upload it to a website called authors.me. So I did that. And that website contacted me about a month later and asked if I'd like to move my manuscript into what they call discovery, where not just the one author that requested I upload it, but any publisher could go on there and read my manuscript. So I said, well, why not? It's free for a month. Take advantage of it. So that's what I did. And then probably, a month or 6 weeks later, Black Rose contacted me and offered me a contract. So I was thrilled, but I did my research because I didn't know anything about them. But this book came out back in December of 2016. And then soon after that one came out, they offered me a contract on my newest book, which is a young adult sci-fi fantasy thriller. This is a Gemini Connection. This just came out in June 7th, so it's pretty new. And it's been a lot of work. Like Mary said, you're constantly promoting, trying to get your name out there, your book out there. And both of my books, interestingly enough, are written from a teenage male perspective. Mm-hmm. And people have asked me, how do you write from a male perspective, especially that of a 17-year-old boy, which obviously I am not. But I have two teenage boys. Well, one is no longer a teenager, so that's what I know. All their friends have hung out here in the house. I've listened to them while I've driven them to soccer, basketball, and you listen, you pay attention. It's quite entertaining at times, and that's where I've gotten to know teenage boys through just personal experience. But it's been fun. And
so that was your inspiration.
Yes, yeah. I guess I have a teenage boy living inside my brain. A friend of mine says that I must have been one in a previous life. So we'll go with that.
Well, it's paying off for you, right, Teri?
Yes, it is.
Absolutely. I know that's where I'm writing from. That's what my viewpoint is most of the time is, 3, 4, and 5-year-old, So
Yeah.
I guess it helps when you've got someone that inspires you, that's right there at the ready part of your life.
Yeah.
And it's easy to write from that vantage point, because you're exposed to you're in the moment.
Exactly. Exactly. So, and I've asked his opinion on things. I've asked his friends' opinions on things, because oddly enough, I find it difficult to write from a female perspective. So I've talked to to both of their female friends, get advice, get kind of a sensitivity reading, if you want to call it that. So I get real life inspiration, I guess.
Awesome.
Great. Treva, can we hear from you? What has your experience been like?
Actually, first of all, Brigetti, thank you for having me as a guest today. I'm very grateful, and to these wonderful ladies, Teri and Mary. It's great to be with you all. My experience is a little bit different. My book, Healing for My Body, I'm a Miracle. I was so blessed to write this book. My book is interesting because I love one. My husband was in a hospital, and I actually was inspired to, instead of writing his story, I was inspired to write my own. I've written several books in past, but this book was different because all of my emotions, when I put that pen to paper, it just flowed. And I would encourage everyone who's watching, whatever ideas that you have, you are qualified, because God blesses us with talents and gifts and ideas. And it just literally flowed. And so I took all of those pinned up emotions and I began to write. And I was inspired about my own testimony that happened 14 years ago after giving birth to my daughter. I had toxemia, and that caused my organs to fail at the hospital, and my heart stopped and my liver failed. They life flighted me to a neighbor hospital in Nashville. And I just remember praying a whole lot. A lot of people were praying for me. And although I've shared my story on several platforms for many years, I never wrote anything about my story. So this year I was inspired through my husband's situation to share my own story in a book. And so it has been so rewarding. I'm grateful because I know that it will help a lot of people. I provide a lot of scriptures that people can stand upon and use and utilize, things that I said when I could not get out of the bed, affirmations and things that made me strong. So I hope that my book will be a book that will help others, to give them hope and inspiration, to let them know, even if it's just writing a book, you can do it. So it's called Healing for My Body. I'm a Miracle. And I hope that it will bless a lot of people who read the book.
Yeah, and we all have a story inside each of us, every one of us does, whether it's fiction or fantasy or real or not real or whatever. We have that story inside of us. So I know you guys I know when you guys go places, you have people come up to you and say, I really want to write, but I don't know what to do. And or I started a book and I haven't finished it. And I don't know what y'all say to those people who come up to you, but I always really encourage people, because I'm like, it's there. All of us have one inside of us, and we all have stories to share that will help others, no matter what it is. Even if it's like, what I write right now, what I'm writing with these children's books, that is a sacred time between a caregiver and a child. And think about those moments, and these books being part of those moments, and encouraging children to write and love books so much. I think that's pretty special, and yours is inspiration, and Teri's is, take people away from their lives, even
That's ageism. I'm trying to get teenage boys to read.
Yeah, there you go. Well, yeah, but
that's right.
It's to turn them on to that and kind of get them involved in something that's more than just their life, because most kids think their lives are so boring, right? So so you're helping kids do that, and it's very rewarding, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
very. And enjoyable. Hard, but very enjoyable.
Yeah,
and you get to meet a lot of people and network, and I mean, if I didn't have the opportunity to write this book, I wouldn't be here today. So I'm grateful for the friends and the connections that I've made, and being Brigetti and your great show. It's just a great feeling. And so I encourage people to pick up that pen and write whatever, if it's a fiction, a sci-fi, if it's a romance novel. Oh, I would love to write a romance novel. I think I could do that too. But yeah, this was what I was feeling at that particular time. My next book could be something else. So write what you feel.
Right. Absolutely. Brigetti,
And that's what I say.
I must say, you've kind of pricked my conscience just a little bit with your story, Treva, and I should get my act together and write my own journey. You know,
Yeah.
I had a hysterectomy, and I was unconscious for 3 days after that, and I spent a total of 21 days in hospital.
Bless your heart.
And
Wow.
you know, it was quite something. I mean, my family didn't know whether I was going to come out alive. I didn't know if I was going to come out alive. It was a long time to spend in hospital, and it took me 2 full years to recover from that experience. It was life-changing. You know, you do, after an experience like that, you feel you've been given a second lease on life. And listening to you now has reminded me that I really need to start journaling what that journey was like for me.
Absolutely, you do. And you're an advocate for, Brigetti is also an advocate for fibromyalgia and back pain because she's had surgery. And, you know, there's stories there. I mean, you're living in the trenches of it, yet you power on, you know, and you're an inspiration to other women. So you take roll with it, honey.
And it's
Thank
never
you.
too late. Yes, and thank you, Brigetti, for sharing that. It's never too late. My story came 14 years later. 14 years later,
Oh, wow.
and I put it in the book. But it took my husband's situation, it took that life-changing moment, and I was inspired. And I thought I would write his story. He said, no, don't write my story. You need to write your own. So here's my book, and I hope that you will also write, because you have a story that we all need to read about.
Thank you. I think I needed to start the show to get that kind of inspirational juices going within me. And I think I needed to hear your story today to get me motivated on that path towards writing.
Very nice. That's awesome. See, that's what connecting about is so great, isn't it? So, and I'd love to be able to write like Teri does. It absolutely terrifies me to sit down and write something like it's there, but it's like that whole 40,000. How many words is your novel? Do you know?
The first one was 65,000, and this second one was over 70. I can't remember exactly what it is.
That scares me. I'm just like, what if I run out of words?
Oh,
wow.
You don't. No, usually you have to trim it back some. I've seen some, especially if you're going to write a fantasy novel, going into the over 100,000. I've been told by other people that read mine, I tend to hold back on description. I maybe don't do enough. So I generally have to go back in and beef up some world building or just scene description, anything to make you feel like you're more there. I'm more of a get to the point kind of person. So, but you can do it. You can just let your mind wander.
I'm used to.
Wow.
Now I can, you know, the little 20 pagers. I can do them every day. I'll do. And the rhyming is so easy. It's just that whole. I haven't stepped out. I'm trying to step out and be brave to get in there and do that. You know, more deep grip. You know, I've got a true story about my life, but also my 14-year-old. So Treva, this would be 14 years later, you know, whenever I get around.
Yay!
But, you know, it's her journey of abuse in school. And I haven't been brave enough to write it yet, you know, too emotional, but I need to do it. It would be very healing.
Yeah, there's a time, just like Teri, when Teri sat down and she wrote, you know, her book and shared. her book will bless a lot of young people and all people who love those types of reads. I just think we have to do it, ladies. Someone said you should take your story and turn it into a stage play, and I'm like, don't give me any more ideas. Oh, but I'm grateful. Just, we wouldn't be here today if we didn't have those ideas. Mary, you wouldn't.
Right.
And thank you, Mary, for telling me about Brigetti. And I'm just so happy to be here. Y'all just don't know. I'm just so thankful and blessed to be here.
Well, I'm so glad we got this together. I'm really excited about it. Yeah, I'm really excited about it. I'm so glad for y'all to meet. And, Brigetti is such an amazing person. I feel truly blessed to have gotten to meet her. And Teri and I got to meet last year in October at the Nashville Book Festival. And that was an exciting time for us we were both kind of newbies, and, we were doing that together, and it was so nice, and we stayed connected. And, we're trying to kind of put that, I'm working on putting you and I, Treva, have talked about it, also putting an author panel together where we kind of travel to different venues and talk about it and be able to draw people in for different genres that, might find something new they didn't know and might not have seen it, or heard about. And you and I got to meet back in January at America's Got Talent. It wasn't us who were trying out, but our kids.
Absolutely. That's where it started.
Yes. And so I love connections. They're just absolutely amazing how we have a Facebook group that Teri and I are part of with Black Rose Writing. And it's interesting because she's in Kentucky, and then right here where I live, there is me and then Thornton Klein and Layla Heyman, and we're all with Black Rose Writing. So it's kind of cool that we're close together enough to be able to communicate and maybe do some stuff together. But we have found, I've found, I think Teri can probably see this too, on the Facebook page, the group, there's 300 and some odd authors in there. And there's a big, there's quite a few of them that are very supportive of one another. Somebody's posting something every day about their numbers on Amazon and reviews. And, I've been on the front page of the newspaper in my town. And so it's exciting to be able to support people through their journey, to keep that up for them. Cause you have lulls. I've been there, and it's nice to be able to support each other and tell people there's books, anytime that they post, I try to share so that people on my networking social media can see books that they might not have seen before, so.
Right. So where have you ladies, like Teri and Mary, where have you all been able to promote your book, and how have you gotten the word out?
Good question.
Well, this past Saturday, I was just in Lexington it was called Lexington Legendary Book Bash. And that featured probably around 50 authors, I guess, all different genres. And I've done books, Barnes and Noble signings. I've done the Southern Kentucky Book Fest here in Bowling Green, which that usually pulls in a lot of readers. And then this third Thursday in September, I'm going to the PennCon Indie Book Festival in St. Louis. And that's a 2-day festival. And it's my first time, but other authors that have been said that it's huge numbers of people that they pull in. So I'm just hoping we get a lot of young adult readers that want to come in there and look at the books.
Yeah.
So, and then a lot of social media, you're constantly promoting and trying to get the word out. I'm also doing a blog tour next week with this, the new book, and giveaways on through Young Adult Book Central, which the person who runs that also lives in Nashville.
Oh, cool.
And they have thousands of subscribers to their social media and their website and everything. So it's just you hit or miss. You just don't know what'll connect with them.
Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so I know, Treva, I think, and I've talked to both y'all about this, because Teri, you've had a hard time getting in places locally, like the library and other places like that. Yeah. Because both you and Treva have reached out to me about coming down here. And I know Thornton and I mean, he's a little more seasoned than I am. And actually, I guess all of us, he has 20 something books published now, but, we started, I was blessed to be led to him, so he's kind of helped carry me through and taught me a whole lot. And we've done, all the local radio around here, all the local TV stations, the libraries, like everything in Sumner County and some of the counties around Nashville. And now we're trying to make our way into Nashville, which Nashville is kind of a little bit tricky. You know, you need to be this bam, you know, because it is, I guess because of being Music City and lots of famous people live here, and, you know, so it's harder to get into, but you know, that's where I've done a lot of promoting. And my launch last year in February, in a week, my first week out, I had 3 radio shows and a library and a launch party. So it was a lot of work in that week, but it did help a lot, you know, and we just have to constantly, and I've been making calls for Treva, trying to get her book down here. And, you know, Teri, I can ask the same question. It's funny because some libraries, like when I went to Asheville, North Carolina, the library there, they were not interested in any authors outside of the city there. So it's really kind of interesting how everywhere is different, you know. Mm-hmm. And you came to my town and did Barnes and Noble here last year. I did Cool Springs and Hendersonville, both on the same weekend. I know. They were very accommodating, but the Barnes and Noble here in Bowling Green, they have stocked a few copies of my new book, but they don't really schedule signings for indie authors. Interesting.
I see. We need to find those areas who do schedule, you know, those signings. That would be great information to share. Us joining another and sharing the word and helping us all grow, because we are all trying to get our books out there. And so thank y'all that was helpful for me to see your path. And I'm taking action on a church to church tour. And so since my book is more healing and it's religious, faith based, every Sunday I'm visiting church and I'm sharing about my book, and I figured that's the best place for me. And then I'll look out for some local fairs and also some radio show interviews I have coming in the future. So I'm taking the church to church tour.
I'd like to say thank you and welcome to Jason Franco and also Jenny Tate for joining us. I think that Treva's had a bit of difficulty there with her internet connection, but I'm sure that if she can, I'm not sure if she will try and rejoin us, but we're actually running out of time. But this has been awesome. This really has been great. And I'm looking forward to us doing this again next week. So I want to thank you all for your time. Do you have a final thought before we sign off?
Do you, Mary? Nothing's popping in my mind right now.
You know, just take a chance on yourself.
Yes.
I think as writers and creators, whatever you are creative about, we're always it's like, you know what you believe in, you're so afraid. What if somebody else doesn't believe in it? Nobody likes it, you know, and you go, that was my thought before all this started, was nobody's going to like, you know, I mean, who wants to, you know, and it's just, we have to take that chance on ourselves and really, really believe in what it is. We believe in it. Everyone else will too.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes the voices in your head aren't really, it's not a bad thing. It might just be characters trying to get out.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
But I really appreciate that great tip that you gave, Mary, was to have your notebook with you. We're going to end now, but Treva can reconnect it. So I'm going to let her in quickly.
Okay.
Welcome back, Treva.
I'm back.
We're just closing. Did you have any final thoughts you'd like to share with our viewers?
No, I just want to say thank you again. This has been a first for me, going live like this, and thank you for the opportunity. I'm very appreciative.
I'm so glad.
It has been amazing, ladies, and I look forward to having you back again. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for everyone who's watching us live. Welcome to replay viewers. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. We will also leave the links where you can contact Treva, Teri, and Mary. Also the links where their books can be purchased. And please, can I also ask that you could share this, because this is valuable information here. These are three ladies with three different genres, and each of them have written from a place of personal experience. So thank you for watching again. Have a great evening, afternoon, morning further, and look forward to seeing you again next week. So from all of us, it's goodbye for now.
Thank you.
Thanks.